Hey everybody, welcome to Trading the Close. Wow, we have a big sell-off on Wall Street and we're going to get into the details here. But remember, I've been warning you the last 2 days, gasoline dropping, oil dropping. Those are not signals of an economy that is going to have a soft landing, right? Or no landing at all. Yet the stock market kept going up and up and up and up. Ultimately, we're starting to see that sell-off take place. I think some of it's profit taking ahead of Jerome Powell tomorrow at Jackson Hole, but I also think that smart money is starting to say, wait a minute, this market is going to turn down, like I've been saying, and I think we might have begun it. In fact, earlier this week on Monday, there was a key cycle date that Drew, one of my key traders out here, did announce to members, and again, that cycle date, major cycle date, which again can denote a pivot high when you've rallied like it has into it. Let's go into the charts here, guys, and see what we have. So what we have here, you can see, first of all, look at the red over here in the mega caps. Huge red. We've got Nvidia down almost 4%, Apple down 1%, Microsoft down over 2%, Google down 1%. Meta is also taking a hit, so a lot of heavy selling. Amazon right here down 2.3%, but nonetheless, a lot of red in technology. Look at over here, though. In financials, that's actually not too bad. A lot of green and gray, which means essentially unchanged to slightly positive. Healthcare, you can see some red, but a lot of gray there as well. So there are areas like energy today that are seeing money flow coming out of technology and moving in. This is very normal. All right, when you have a market that's had a big run, usually money doesn't run out of the market entirely. It rotates, right? It's only at the end of moves when everyone's panicking that it runs out of everything. And this is, again, we're seeing more of a rotation into certain names, but the stocks that control the market, like Nvidia, that's why the markets are taking a beating today, because those are in control. Taking a look over here, Dow Jones Industrial Average down 230 points. NASDAQ getting walloped here, down 1.7% or 300 points. The S&P 500 down 56 points or 1%. Oil is up on the day. So again, oil had been in a deep decline many days in a row, getting a small technical bounce today. And gold is also going down with Bitcoin. Now, not big moves there, right? Bitcoin and gold down about 1%, 1.5%. Not huge moves whatsoever. But nonetheless, again, big sell-off today in the tech sector. Nvidia leading the charge after, in all fairness, a 45% rally off of lows from about 2.5 weeks ago. All right, let's get right into the charts here. So this is the Zoom chart. We're going to touch base on that, but let's go to the S&P 500. Look at today. Today's what you call a reversal engulfing candle on the daily chart. Now, this is the intraday 10 minutes, so you're not going to see it yet, but what we can see here is clearly we opened above yesterday's highs, and we sold off all day long. In fact, we're essentially right at the lows of the day into the end of the day here. All right, now if we flip over to the daily chart on this, this is where it shows that reversal engulfing, right? In fact, technically, this isn't fully reversal engulfing because as of now, we won't close below the absolute low of this candle. But either way, if you actually look at the NASDAQ is a reversal engulfing candle. But look at the rally up, and now it starts to see some selling. Now, you could say that this is just one day. You would be correct. It's only one down day after a massive move to the upside. But again, as I've described to you guys, the gasoline chart, the oil chart, those are signals that the economy is not in good shape. And then you throw in the Fed minutes from yesterday where they basically said, yeah, we were even thinking about cutting in July. Wait a minute. You were thinking about cutting in July? Well, if things are fine, if we're going to have a soft landing or no landing, why were you thinking about cutting then and then going to cut now and going to cut multiple times the rest of the year? In fact, the markets are pricing in something like 6 rate cuts into early next year, maybe even 8. If that's the case, how is that a soft landing scenario, right? I mean, just essentially us as traders and investors, we have to just do logic. Logic is really helpful here. And that's not logical to think that everything's going to be fine if they're going to have to cut that much. So something is amiss here, and I'm a big believer that if you look at oil, oil is a good indicator that something is wrong in the economy. All right, in any case, big sell-off day on the S&P 500. If we flip over to the NASDAQ 100 real quickly, this is where you see that reversal engulfing candle today, guys. And again, you can see we opened above the previous candle, and we are going to definitely close below that candle to the downside. The other thing of interest here is if we look at the fibs and we take the all-time high on this market, we can see that the fib, I believe it was a 786. Yep, basically a 786 Fibonacci. That was what we came up to right here. And again, that caused the market here to stall out, at least for today. Now, we're going to have to watch what happens tomorrow. 10 a.m. Eastern time is Jerome Powell's speech from Jackson Hole. Now, again, he's probably going to be dovish, but the question is he going to be dovish enough, or is he going to be too dovish? That's what I would dare say is like, what are the chances that he's so dovish that smart money, maybe not investors, right? But, people like myself start saying, wait a minute, he's so dovish. What is he not telling us? What is the Fed not telling us? We know yesterday that the jobs number for the previous year got revised down by 818,000 jobs. That means 818,000 less jobs than were reported were actually created. Jeez, that's a big number. So in any case, let's watch to see, is he too dovish? Is he just right, like Goldilocks dovish? Or is he too hawkish maybe? Again, I doubt he's going to be hawkish, though. I will say that. In any case, we'll watch to see where this market goes. Now, we do have some earnings after the close. Not huge numbers here, or not huge companies, but like Intuit, Workday, I think also Kava. There's some other ones. So we might get some good moves here that should be reported now. And I want to flip over to some of these charts. Let's go to the pre or after hours action here. Oh, there you go. Workday already selling, guys. So here we go again. I mean, every day it seems like most of these companies are dumping out, although this one's bouncing back up. But this is Workday again. Quick flush down to 222, bouncing back here. We'll check back in there. Let's look at Kava here. If we go to our intraday chart on Kava and go to our after hours, extended hours, getting a small uptick. This isn't a big company, but nonetheless getting a little bit of an uptick here. Let's keep going here. We have Ross Stores. I believe Ross Stores is reporting after hours. Doesn't look like that number is out. And then Intuit in the after hours. A pretty big company, actually, on Intuit. Let's take a look. That's selling as well. And again, I will just go on record and say that this past quarter, earnings for the first time were good, but they weren't as amazing as they have been in previous quarters. And I think we're seeing, again, some of these results here, just consistently most companies selling off. And part of that, too, is the psychology of the market is changing now, where it's like, okay, yeah, these stocks are so overbought that it's almost like you have to be very, very careful. Even good earnings may not be enough to get investors to buy in. All right, couple other stocks. I did want to just touch base on Zoom. The reason I want to touch base on Zoom is if you've been following me, whether it's in the game plan or trading the close, I was always saying to you guys that this Zoom chart is unbelievably attractive. In addition, I'm not a fundamental guy, right? You guys know that. I don't pay attention to the fundamentals of companies, but in this situation I did. And they had an 11 forward PE, and the stock had $7 billion in cash. The company has $7 billion in cash, no debt, and it was only trading at the time at around a $17 billion market cap. To me, it was a no-brainer. Earnings come out, they did better. They used AI. Their AI tools are helping them quite a bit. They beat revenue, they beat earnings, they raised forecasts. The stock having a beautiful 13% move to the upside. Is it too late to buy? For me, it is, yeah. I mean, I was in this with members in Smart Money Stocks, so we obviously took profits today, which was awesome. But if it was me, I'm not looking to buy after this move. I mean, the stock's gone from $56 to $68. That's a massive 20+% move off of the lows. Now, I still have resistance levels up here, so it could still go up a little bit more, but at this point, you're trying to squeeze that last little bit of juice out of a lemon. Not worth it to me, but nonetheless, amazing move on that chart. Take a look at Snowflake today, man. This stock got hammered, never hit any of my technical supports, but again, down 15% on this big cap company here, and again, look at for that 112 to 110 technical support. All right. I do want to flip over and go. We'll take a look at these earnings again in just a second, but let's go over Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin here, if I bring up the proper Bitcoin on Coinbase, I want to look at that one there. But if we take a look at that, oh my goodness, it's not coming up very easily. There we go. We do have our pivot line, and look at our pivot line on Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin, again, hammering on the pivot line, but so far being rejected. You need to see Bitcoin get above this level to have any sort of big move up. If it can confirm above this, again, and I've talked about this with you guys before, you should go up here. okay? But it must confirm above. Don't get fooled by the institutional money that may want to just push it up briefly, getting you to go long or stopping out of a short and then reversing it back to the downside. But if it can confirm here, likely upside would follow. Altcoins, big moves in altcoins, guys. Covered Avalanche, Injective we had in Smart Money Crypto. We took money on that. We took a great gain there as well. And even some of the other ones we're holding, we're all in the money on all of these here. So it's been really a good run. But you'll know from me, from watching the trading the closes from the game plans, I'm not one to just say, oh, I'm going to sit back and just let it try to go up and up and up. I take my profits, I put them in my pocket, and you can just look at the altcoin charts. I mean, if you did that and you were in from years ago, you'd be down 90% on your money, if not more, on most of the altcoins. All right, so that's one to look at here. Let's quickly look at gold, silver, and oil and natural gas. Today, gold pulling back just a little bit. But in all fairness, it's had such a run, that's fine. Little bit of a retrace here. I do think gold has a big move tomorrow on Jerome Powell's comments. Silver today, same kind of deal. Little bit of a pullback on silver. It is retesting a key level of support right here. So let's watch and see. Is it able to hold and move back up and head towards 31? Or is it going to come back in and head back down into this zone here? Lastly, just quickly, oil. We'll take a look at that. Excuse me. See what we got there. So oil, again, we talked about a bounce on oil, and it is bouncing. Notice the technical trend line right down here. Pierced the line, getting a small bounce. This is my expectation for price action. You have, anytime you get a full reversal here, a lot of times what you'll do the 100% reversal, you'll get a small bounce like that, and then my guess is that's where you're headed. So I do think you're going to get a small bounce, maybe even a little bit of a bounce tomorrow, but be aware that most likely, especially based on the macro signals, oil is going to go lower. And again, that's something that's been telling us to be cautious on this rally over the last few days, the fact that oil has now reversed that entire move. Natural gas, guys, again, natural gas has been struggling at that key level. Got slammed down today, folks. Just another great example of the confirmation signal and how important it was. Never confirmed above this level. You would have never been fooled thinking it was going to be a breakout here. Instead, it comes right back in, and now you got to start thinking that we're probably headed back down to this $2 level on natural gas. Let's go check one more time in on workday after hours. Looks like the stock is down, but just a little bit. That's not a big move right there. Nothing major to write home about. Kava, not doing much there as well. Ross Stores, doesn't look like this is out yet unless I'm missing. Oh, I'm not showing extended hours. Sorry. There you go. Ross Stores actually nice little pop here. Very nice little move up from 152.5 to 160. Let me look at the daily chart. I think I had a parallel channel that I was watching. Yeah, just above 160, about 161 to 162, there is a technical level right up there. You can see this beautiful parallel. So I would say 161 to 162. That might be a little bit of a resistance on Ross Stores. It's actually a pretty impressive, for being a retail stock, this is actually a pretty impressive chart considering so many retail stocks have been pounded. But nonetheless, they must have reported a pretty good quarter there. So that stock is making a nice move to the upside. Lastly, Intuit, which opened a little bit lower in the after hours, now getting a small bid. Again, very minor, only about 3% to the move, but it is trading to the upside. All right, folks. So listen, tomorrow, Jerome Powell. That's the big event, right? So Jackson Hole, Jerome Powell. Next week, what's the big event? Well, NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after the close, and that will be monumental for this market. So the market's selling today. Is it profit-taking? Is it starting to understand what the Fed said yesterday was actually pretty negative for the economy? We don't know yet, but let's see if we have follow-through. On that note, folks, I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'll be here tomorrow morning for the game plan, 9 a.m. sharp. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.